We're going to talk about Airbnb and VRBO. And with that, I have one of our top agents in our company, Paul Hart. First off, my name is Troy Funk. I'm a licensed real estate broker in the state of Florida. And the purpose of my channel is to give back and be a resource to you. And if I do that, please hit the like button and the subscribe button. So we'll get right into it. Paul Hart, welcome.
Troy, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Well, let me get right into the questions, Paul. First question, I'm going to just get right into it. What is an Airbnb and VRBO, and why are they so popular right now in our marketplace?
So Airbnb's actually been around for a long time. And vacation rent by owner is also one that's probably even been out longer, but yet not been as popular. Airbnb did a great job marketing, and it's become popular. Even more recently with not only people that are vacationing, but now it's also shifting over to investors that are seeing that opportunity and seeing that market. Basically, a homeowner can rent out his own home, whether it's on a full-time basis, if they're purchasing a property and for, say, a second home, and they want to be able to offset some of those costs while they're not using it themselves. It's a great way to offset those costs. Or some people did it, even while, hey, I'm just going on vacation for a week or two, and I'll rent out my own home and do it. So there's been a variety of different ways that's been in use. One of the reasons it's so popular, well, a couple of reasons. One is, quite honestly, it's cost effective. You think about it for a family, when my kids were little, you take a family of 5, and you go on vacation a week. You're going out to eat for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. If you've got a larger family, you might need not just one hotel room, you might need 2. That gets expensive, for younger families or larger families. So, vacation rent by owner or Airbnb allows you to, we go to the Keys once, twice a year. We don't have to go out to eat every night. We can go hit the local Publix, stock up on some groceries. We might have to go out to eat 50% of the time and then save some costs. Or, if you really want a nice house like us, we get a nice house on the water to bring our boat down, but I don't want to absorb that huge cost. You might have 2 families that go with you, or even 3 families for a large house. And again, that's super cost effective. It really makes it more of an experience than just who wants to sit around a hotel room. But if you're in a nice house that has a pool or it's on the water or other things, I'd pay more per night to do it. And I do. So that's become even more popular. And really, Troy, one of the reasons, just lately, with this new Delta strain of COVID that has come out and previous, think about it. If you're, you've had some health issues in the past, you have COVID concerns. What if, say, for example, a hotel room may have 10, 15, 20 families in it a month.
Right.
A Airbnb or a VRBO, it's usually 50 to 75% occupancy. It's probably only had, 2 or 3 families in it. So just really from a safety factor as well as monetary, it's a nice way to go.
Well, obviously there's a lot of benefits to a renter going into there, or basically someone on vacation, as it gives them a different alternative, as you said, to a hotel. What are really the benefits to a owner or somebody? Why are buyers buying up Airbnbs? What's the advantage to somebody buying an Airbnb right now?
So there's a couple of advantages. I mean, your cost per night and your just pure revenue can be a lot higher on an Airbnb versus, say, a long-term renter. If let's say I'm going to rent out a property, I may get $2,500 a month or $3,000 a month if it's out by the water or something decent. From an Airbnb, I might be able to get $4,000 or $5,000 a month. There's a little bit of extra work. You have to accept or reject some reservations. You have to schedule a cleaning company, but just pure return on investment, you can get more per month. Even with some vacancy, you can still get more per month. And quite honestly, I mean, look what landlords just went through. With the eviction moratorium, these landlords just went through people saying, hey, I'm not going to pay. I know you can't evict me. I'm not going to pay. You're dealing with, challenging renters. Airbnb, you get paid up front. They pay the website pays you. You're paid. And that type of demographic or that client, they're not paycheck to paycheck. They're not, if they don't get paid this week, it's okay. So from a risk standpoint, in my opinion, it's a much lower risk. And like when I had, my duplex, for example, when we were doing rentals, you have to do a background check. Then you have to hope that they stay in the unit. Then you have to hope that, they tell you if a repair needs to be done. Think about it. Background checks are expensive. Having to renew leases, you've got to pay a property manager, and a property manager is going to cost you 10%. With an Airbnb, they do the background check. They collect the funds. I'm not chasing rent. They take care of any feedback from clients. If they say the air wasn't working and there was something wrong, I mean, quite honestly, and you're not paying a 10% property manager if you decide to do it yourself, which is another discussion. You can still hire a property manager if you live out of state, to help do it. But, those are some reasons really. And a lot of these landlords are like, hey, I'm tired of dealing with long-term tenants. It's less risk.
It sounds that way. So it's basically more of a plug and play for somebody looking to potentially get a higher rate of return on their rental property. Is that a fair analogy?
I don't know if it's plug and play, but it is definitely easier in my opinion. It's less risk from a long-term renter that's going to claim the CARES Act or the COVID card or things of that nature.
Mm-hmm. Paul, what makes for a good location for an Airbnb?
I think, we're very blessed in Florida. We've got beautiful Gulf beaches. We've got some amazing downtown, Sarasota districts or Bradenton or some of the other ones. We've got world-class cuisine, art, all kind of stuff. You want to have something that, you don't want to just in the middle of a subdivision, in the middle of a rural area. You want something that has some attractions around it. So, like the clients I've helped recently, we've done a handful of them that have already been accepted. We're waiting on one actually that we bid on that we're supposed to find out today. So I'm super stoked on that. Whether close to the water, close to downtown, close to activities, tends to drive the price up on those. But those are good because also you have to be careful. You'd asked about what areas are good. They can't be in HOA communities. So pros and cons to it. If I'm a neighbor of an Airbnb, I'm seeing people dragging in their SUV with suitcases and coolers and stuff in and out. So a lot of communities are not a fan of Airbnb. So you have to look for either non-deed restricted areas, say older areas out by the beach, or condo and townhouses are really strict on their regulations. So there's hardly any Airbnbs or say STRs, short-term rentals. You don't see that in a lot of condo complexes. They don't allow it. So single family, non-deed restricted homes close to, the water, those are what I see the most. Very
interesting. And what would you say are some of the things that you could do that would enhance an Airbnb if you own one?
I'd say if you can afford it, as crazy as it sounds, I'd say 2 out of the last 3 that I put in offers, they want pools. We've got the biggest pool in the Gulf of Mexico here, but a lot of people want pools. I think the first one that we did that closed, I guess it was earlier this year, end of last year, didn't have one, but the other ones have. People they want that outdoor experience. They want something, from an enhancement standpoint. Also, the one that we're waiting on an offer today, it is it's at the end, almost like a cul-de-sac. So it has a very large street entrance. So that helps For me, I bring my boat. When we go to the Keys, I always bring my boat. So I'm always looking for something that's either on a canal, has a lot next to it. So anything that you have, whether if it's not on a canal or waterfront, having space for boat parking, having just bigger parking in general is good because, like I said, sometimes we'll go, either our kids will come down or another family comes down. So having ample parking, if you've got just a 2-space parking spot, but a very large house, that kind of hampers it. So having some good outdoor space, having good parking space, those are things that are be super important to help be attractive to, potential tenants.
Wow, very interesting. What about insurance? What do you need in the way of insurance?
So there's a couple schools of thought on that. Some people will just some people will wind up just using their regular home insurance, and if a renter causes damage, they got to hope that they can get it through their insurance company without having any issues. There are, contact a local insurance agent, but we carried extra insurance on ours specifically for that. It cuts into your margin, but if you're investing $500,000 to $1 million on a property, you want to make sure, especially if you don't live local, so the 1, 2, 3, the last 3 that I've done have all been out of state investors. They come down and they use it themselves, and then they offset those costs when they leave. But especially if you're not here and you can't just pop in and check on the property, having that extra insurance through your local insurance provider for short-term rentals is a good value add.
Paul, you kind of brought up a good subject on, or just curious. I mean, when you're an out-of-state owner, and you're buying property in Florida as an Airbnb, you've seen some success with that. I mean, that would feel like that's probably a layer of challenge right there.
It is a layer of challenge. I mean, the last one that we just did an offer on in West Bradenton here is just under $500,000, and we toured it on FaceTime. There's a little bit of a trust factor with your agent to make sure that you're seeing it on video many times before you make the offer. As I mentioned, our last the one that we did, the gentleman lives in Pennsylvania. The one I did before that, they were in Kansas, and the other one I think was West Coast. What they did typically is we've been talking forever. What are their likes? What are their needs? What's important to them? They having an agent who is also an investor and that has a little bit of, I'll say mechanical background, but say construction background. You don't want to they're flying in. You don't want to fly in and see you've got, orange or brown spots in the ceiling, something that somebody should have caught, before you've even done a home inspection. Making sure that your agent understands what your needs are, understands, is this a solid house? Because a lot of these are older, non-deed restricted communities. You're not buying a, early 2000s house many times. So that's important. And then also they would wind up flying in for the inspection typically. We did one in West Bradenton over in Palasola area, Kansas. She lived in Kansas. She flew in for the inspection. So the first time she sees it is a handful of days before her inspection contingency is up. We did a lot of pre-work prior, but it turned out great. In fact, you've got some pictures of that one. They've done some renovations since then. And I got to say, she's probably at like an 80% occupancy rate. She's amazing. I mean, she's super good at marketing. She's doing it herself instead of hiring a management company, which really helps on their margin. But those types of things are important. It isn't just, hey, I'm buying a house and people are just going to go to the website and signing up. It's not that simple. You have to market like anything else. You've got to, get on social media, get on some of the travel websites, make sure you promote your product like anything else. It's a big investment. It can't just sit there.
Well, obviously, Paul, you have a lot of experience with that. So it would be very beneficial if someone's looking for an investment like that. You specialize in that type of investment opportunity.
Yeah, it's you want somebody that's had that experience. You don't want somebody that's never done it, and you're seeing the house on video and they don't have that background. that's a big investment. So you really want to, before you buy a house on video, making sure that somebody's been there and done that and understands the, the moving parts to how it works is important.
Well, you mentioned there's a lot of aspects, so it's not just buying a property to Airbnb. There's a lot of variations that go into that. And then what I also heard is sometimes you can find the right property, but there's some things you can do that would even enhance it. So it could become a better property as an Airbnb. But knowing what to identify and when you're doing that search is critical.
You just hit it on the head right there. So when you're buying a property, you don't want to pay full retail for it. You want to buy something that's got some potential. And I'll share a couple of examples. I'll try to do it quick, but like the first property, it was fairly cost conscious. We were looking in the 300 range. You can't find anything by the water in a 3-bedroom plus. We wound up finding a 2-2, but it had a nice Florida room that was enclosed. And she wound up making it an extra bedroom. And because of that, instead of paying that 3-bedroom price per se, they looked at what's the stability of that sunroom in the back. Can it be converted? Could we keep it as a entertaining space and then use futons to make an extra bed? Beds mean money. I mean, if it's a 4-bed versus an 8-bed and you can get the same amount out of the same square footage house, your return on investment is tremendously higher. So looking for value adds, like a sunroom. How do I get an extra bedroom? In Florida, we had sunrooms and Florida rooms on these older houses that a lot of times people enclose. Can I put a mini split in there or an AC unit in there, pop a small closet in there, and boom, that's another bedroom. The one that we offered on, we're finding out today, they actually did something similar. They enclosed the garage, put a mini split on it. They added a bathroom in the laundry room. But what was unique about that house is they added a separate entrance, a side door to it. So you could go straight into the laundry room. So what's super cool, the house is a 4-3 because they enclosed the garage. But what I love about it for this investor is you could rent it as a 4-3 for a large family. Let's say that he came down from Pennsylvania and him and his wife just want to come down for the weekend. They can close off that one section and just use it as a 1-1 and still rent out the 3-2, or vice versa. If he comes down with his whole family, he could still get extra revenue out of it. So, having, a side entrance door, adding a bedroom, adding a bathroom, those sound like complicated, changes, but they're really not, and drive tremendous revenue. So, buy a property that has some stretch ability to it. Don't just, because if you're going to pay, if it's completely done and everything's perfect, you're going to pay top dollar for it. And at one point, it just doesn't make sense. You have to look and see how much money that property will make, and then see what you can pay for it based on a 50 to 60% occupancy rate, because you're never going to have it full the whole time. If you do your math and say it's going to be 90% full, you're going to fail. You need to figure 50 to 60 or even 70% on the high side, and then do the math on it and see if the property is going to cash flow. There's a good website. It's one that I sent you there. It's airdna.com. And, I learned that a little while ago from a different investor asking me, hey, is this property going to, cash flow for me? What can I get in that area? You can do it a variety of different ways. You can go to VRBO or Airbnb's website, look up the zip code or the area, plug in your similar house and kind of see what the other comps, if you will, are, see what they're getting per night. But AirDNA has a lot of great data. Hey, I'm looking for a house in this zip code. I'm looking for a 3-2, and they pull, what's interesting is they actually pull the listings from VRBO, or excuse me, Airbnb. So they can tell you what they're getting per night, what their occupancy rates are. They can give your investor some good hard data to make a better educated decision. Doesn't mean that yours is going to duplicate that, because if you don't market it, if you don't get it show ready, that's on you. But at least you know what the potential is before you're dropping $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000.
Well, that's interesting. I think the thing that you started this out with is even during COVID, Airbnb has been a great investment where a lot of landlords are afraid to invest now in Florida, but this is a specialty niche where there's still demand, right? You still see a strong demand from potential renters coming into the area that are looking for Airbnbs.
Yeah, I think you're seeing just a change in mindset. People are less, you've seen people, migrate towards Amazon for shopping. You've seen younger, millennials migrate towards purchasing stuff online, or, don't listen to the radio, they listen to, Spotify or different things. This is just becoming the norm. It's been around for a while, but, it's becoming the normal. I mean, I be honest with you, in the last probably 2 years, I've rented a hotel once going out of town, and I probably had 5 or 6 Airbnbs. It's just a better experience, and people are getting creative. I mean, you see a regular, beach house, but you see, I was watching a TV show on it. They're kind of just learning and listening. I mean, people are doing yurts. Like, I didn't even know what a yurt was until I'm looking at this. It's a tent slash cool little building. People are doing thatch huts in different countries, and people are looking for an experience, not only just a bed. If you've got something creative, a barn experience out in the country, or just some really interesting things. And the good ones I've seen, they're prepared. They've got a book there that shows, local restaurants, local, things to do, and not like Applebee's and Chili's. It's, hey, what's the flavor of Anna Maria Island? What's the flavor down in Siesta Key? Where can I find something that I can't eat at home? If you're, out east here, and, I want to find something, what big cat habitat, what's something that's a unique, whether it's Sarasota, Bradenton, or wherever flavor. They've got a book there to kind of, help their folks really enjoy the area, and it helps keep coming back. And good people count on reviews. Ask your clients for reviews, ask your clients for, referrals. Because, we've gone back, one of the ones we go to the Keys, we've gone back to it a couple times. We like to find new places. Once people find something they like, they tend to go back.
Very good, Paul. A lot of great information today. And again, I'm going to leave your information below so people know how to contact you if you're looking to invest in an Airbnb. You have a lot of experience with that, and you had mentioned that you're also in the construction trades. You've done renovations, you buy and sell property. So you can identify properties that initially might not look like the right piece, but what can be done to make that the right opportunity for somebody looking for an Airbnb.
Yep, that's absolutely huge. Appreciate that.
Well, with that, let's sign out. Again, if this was helpful to you, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next video. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.